Julie, and I'm a volunteer, and I'm simply here to introduce the wonderful Erin. So you're here, make sure you're in the right place, converting traffic from Instagram and LinkedIn on your WordPress website. I'm excited to know about this as a newbie entrepreneur. So I'm going to read Erin's bio, and then I'm just going to tell you some quick little tidbits about her. She started her marketing agency, Lily and James Creative, in her garage in 2016. That's pretty recent. After working more than a decade in local agencies, she paired that experience with their expertise in the legal field to create a brand new business model, then tapped her personal professional network to grow the company and team out of her garage and through 3 different offices so far. With more than 16,000 LinkedIn followers, that's right, 16,000, and she just started this in 2016. She excels at understanding and strategically leveraging online channels to grow her network, her voice, her influence in her company. And let me just say, she just moved her office this week, and she's got little children, and this is her 3rd speaking engagement of the week, so let's just give her a round of applause just for being here this morning.
Hi guys, can you hear me? Okay, they said to give it a couple seconds. Yeah, so we've got to change that to 4 offices so far. And I'm gonna be really honest with you. I speak all the time. This is pretty much my full-time job now. But I don't ever speak to people that I feel like are really know a lot more about the subject than me. And that's what I'm going through today. So when we get to the questions sector, I will do my best at answering WordPress questions. What I really know is social media. So I'm going to rely on you guys to help me if there's any WordPress specific questions, but I can get that traffic to your WordPress website, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So my name is Erin Fulk, like a boy, A-A-R-O-N, and I started Lily and James Creative, which is a social media agency, in June 26, 2016. So that also means, on top of all the other things we had going on this week, we turned 3. So very exciting. Thank you. We became a 7-figure business in the first 2 years. So very exciting, very quick growth, and all due to social media. We've never put $1 into any paid advertising, even on social media. So no SEM and no paid advertising anywhere. Definitely no billboards. Anybody doing those? Okay, good, we're all on the same page. All right, so Erin Fulk, I founded Lily and James Creative. Just a little bit of credentials why they asked me to come here today. I also host a podcast called the Cocktail Hour Podcast. I really didn't know anything about podcasts. I think there's a podcast thing in here next, which I was really excited to see. I'll probably stick around. We had to offer podcasts because at the end of the day, everything you do ends up where? Social media. So when you call yourself a social media company, you really still have to do all of the things, right? So to be able to offer podcasts, we said, well, we should probably do one and double check we know how to do it. My thought process was, this was a little over a year ago, let's do a podcast where we can get some people that'll never come into our office. We'll just record here, this way they walk into the office. And so we started a podcast around women-owned businesses, which is a little bit turned into influential women. They don't all own businesses, but like Stacey Prosser, the publisher of the Business Journal, was on. Crystal Rose from The Voice has been on. So women that have really achieved high levels. Then we got them margaritas, because we called it the cocktail hour, and you can do that. And then they told us all the crap they really had to go through to be able to get to their spot, because it always looks prettier, right, on social media than it really is. So we really wanted to offer that view of authenticity. This has led to some really awesome things for my agency. A lot of what we'll be talking about today is thinking outside the box. Does everyone in here know who Gary Vaynerchuk is? Right, all the hands go up. Okay. I was able to speak with Gary Vaynerchuk. Now, obviously, he's not in my demographic for my podcast, right? And I made that very clear to him. But I said, how about your top woman? And so I was able to go out to VaynerX and sit in their studio and have her, their top woman there, their CMO there, Andrea Sullivan, come onto my podcast. Same thing with Kate Spade, same thing with LinkedIn, because LinkedIn took me out there by the time I grew my following pretty high. So this podcast has actually become a national podcast, all because we were just trying to think outside the box. I have a video series coming out called Above the Fray with my friend Ezzy Redwood. We've recorded a couple. It hasn't come out, but watch for it. Ezzy runs a think tank here, a non-tech think tank, and was a Google fellow at one point. It's kind of Martha Stewart, Snoop Dogg type show about business. I'm Snoop Dogg. I sit on the board for Junior League of Kansas City, sit on the Central Exchange Corporate Advisory Council Board, and just rolled off the Hispanic Chamber Board of Directors. I am white, but if you're not paying attention to the Hispanic community and you're in business, get it together. It grows 45% every single year, right? So this was my way of trying to figure out what I didn't know. All of this to show you, 3 years ago, I was a single mom, no college degree, doing sales at agencies, because sales is a job you can get when you don't have a college degree, and didn't know what my life was gonna look like. I started using LinkedIn really, really heavily while I was doing sales about 5 years ago. I've been on there for the past 10 years. I knew LinkedIn was a way to make my own story, and so that's what I wanted to do. Essentially, working for another agency, bringing on clients for them, pretty miserable. The agency grew very fast and dropped very fast, and realized at my heart I was an entrepreneur, but when you have 2 kids all by yourself, you don't want to just quit your job because you have no money coming in, correct? So, bought the URL, Lily and James Creative. Told you we just turned 3. I think that was about 5 years ago I bought the URL, and knew I would know when the time to jump was. Essentially got a phone call from someone that found me on LinkedIn, a company that found me on LinkedIn. They said, hey, we're gonna take this entity of our company online. They're a $150 million brand in Dick's Sporting Goods. They're not being sold online at all. It's about time, 3 years ago, 2016, it's about time to take them online, right? Yeah. Thank you. And that company was Nike. So Nike found me on LinkedIn. I took a bartending job while I worked through the Nike thing. Took a bartending job at Tio Cali Restaurant, which if you haven't been there, you should really go. They have fabulous food. Turns out I'm a terrible bartender and waitress. They have really great chips and salsa. So gained a little bit of weight. Only had to work there 4 weeks. Because within 4 weeks, I had grown my company enough to be able to bring on a full-time employee and support myself and my family. So what I'm gonna tell you today is not science. Because the truth is I'm really bad at math and science, and it's always fun when I speak at colleges and tell people how I dropped out of college. If you're in college, you should not drop out, okay? Because you still gotta pay the bills anyways. But there is nothing that I could have been taught that would have taught me this. It is all just experience, and probably by the time that I'm done with this today, something out of what I've told you is gonna change anyways. So take what little tidbits you can and do it for yourself, and just pay attention. That's gonna be the whole goal today, is just pay attention to what's working for you. And if you can pay good attention, then you're gonna be able to capitalize on the things that are working for you. All right? So, we're gonna start with Instagram, and I'm gonna tell you, if you've looked me up on Instagram, it's not my spot. I'm gonna be 40 in October. Nobody wants to see me in a bathing suit. Nobody. Except for my husband, because he's nice. But that is about it, right? I struggle with clients a lot when they bring to me a 22-year-old girl in a bathing suit that has 65,000 followers, and they want to understand, why am I not there yet, right? Right, you got it, right? What we need to understand is Instagram personal is very, very different than Instagram for business. Now, where does this get gray? This gets gray when we're talking about, I'm a blogger, I'm a mommy blogger, I'm a fashion blogger. I'm a blogger who wants people to see my quote unquote real life, and then I want to capitalize on that with sponsorships, right? So we're kind of talking about 3 different total entities here. So we're talking about personal, which is mine 100%. It's pictures of my kids and pictures of our travels and nothing, but not I'm not standing on the side of a mountain. I'm so scared to death when my kids get close to the edge, right? Not those kind of travels, we're at Disney World, right? Not those types of cute, fun travels. And then we're talking about business travels. Not business travels, we're talking about business Instagrams. And then we're talking about, when it comes to those travel ones, we're talking about a travel blogger, that kind of gray area, right? So we're kind of talking about 3 different platforms within one platform. Does that make sense? So I thought we should start with the numbers and see where the numbers work, and then start to talk about what they look like for business in general. So Instagram, overall, there is 1 billion monthly users. Monthly users. When we're talking about business, and I do have a lot of businesses that still, and if you guys are working, who in here works with clients on a daily basis? All right, who in here has a client that says, hey, Who in here has a client that says, we're on Facebook, we don't need Instagram? Right. It's the same conversation we have every day with our clients, right? Does anyone in here not know that Facebook owns Instagram? All right, perfect. None of our clients happen to know it until they come on as clients. So I've gotten to the point I now ask, right? So understanding the numbers is really important. So 1 billion monthly users. Yes, it is not Facebook numbers. But who's the heaviest on Facebook right now anyways? Grandma and Grandpa? Don't point at yourself. Grandma and Grandpa. Grandma and Grandpa, right? So one, you have to understand your demographic. But a lot of our clients, they all kind of sit in the same demographic, right? And it's not usually Grandma and Grandpa. For the most part, and I'm just going to tell you in business what we find, a lot of demographic is 25 to 55-year-old women that are mothers, that are making the decisions. And even if you run into that financial wellness company that strongly believes that the men are their demographic, just move on. It's not worth your time, right? You know that something like 72% of women fire their financial company after their husband passes away, and it's something like 90% of husbands pass away before. Stupid, right? It's not, you guys aren't my clients. I'm not going to go down that road. But I'm just saying, understand your demographic. Your demographic probably falls within Instagram, right? So 1 billion monthly users, 55% of people that are on Instagram make more than $75,000 a year. It's crazy, right? That is not right. Sorry, this is a different presentation. 75 people that make $75,000 a year, 55% of those people are on Instagram. 60% of people that make $100,000 a year are on Instagram, right? So for every 6 out of 10 people that make more than 6 figures. So 72,500 is the number. Does anybody know what number that is? What's special about that number? That is the number overall in America, and it's very different because we understand that the cost of living is much higher in New York than Kansas City, right? But that is the average number in America, 72,500, that it takes to be happy and have expendable cash. So in America, we say if we have expendable cash, that makes us happier, according to some of the magazines, right? And $72,500 means that we can take care of all of our needs, and then we can take care of our wants. So if 60% of people have over $100,000 a year, 55% of people make over $75,000, that entire group right there has expendable cash. Where do they spend expendable cash? With businesses, correct? 60% of users seek out and discover new products via Instagram. Has anybody here ever bought something because they saw it on Instagram? Because you guys can raise your hands higher. It's actually not, we're not talking about Tinder. I met my husband on Tinder, for the record, and so did the #1 top paid CEO in New York City. That's why I got on. I read the article in Forbes. Thank you. I really like you. Okay. 71% of U.S. businesses use Instagram. And by use, this is a very loose word. We mean that they've set up an Instagram account, okay? Does anyone in here have a business that is not currently on Instagram? Does anybody in here have a client? This guy. Okay, we'll talk later. There are still a lot of like financial industries, insurance industries. There's still a lot of regulated ones that haven't allowed people to be on Instagram yet. But 71% of businesses are on there. What does that mean? That means that 29% of businesses aren't on there. That means that some of your competitors might not be on there. And 80% of users total on Instagram do follow a business, right? So out of you people that are in here that are on Instagram, who all follows at least one business? Right? Look around. Might even be a little bit more than 80% in here. So people are out there. They're looking for your business. They're looking to follow you. This is the way they want to get to know about your business. This is the way they want to get to know what you do and buy all in. This is now the new going to networking events and meeting you in person. They start to feel very tied to you as they follow your Instagram and Instagram stories. Okay, we're going to talk numbers on LinkedIn real quick because what we're going to do at the end is a lot of the stuff is very similar of how we're going to grow between these both, but I wanted to start with numbers. So LinkedIn is my spot. I've already told you it helped me grow a 7-figure business within 2 years. If you're not doing LinkedIn, get on there today, especially if you're in B2B. So 600 million users are on LinkedIn. I was there in February, I think, and they had just hit 500 million. Like, it is growing insane. Microsoft bought LinkedIn a little over 3 years ago, and it has grown insane. 2 are joining every second. 61 million LinkedIn users are senior level influencers. So these are the people, especially if we're in a sales role, which if you own a business, you're in a sales role. Let's make that really clear. These are the people that we are dying to get in front of, right? These are the people that we can't get in front of if we show up at the place or if we call their business because there's gatekeepers. These are the people that are sitting in the corner office on LinkedIn while we're downstairs just trying to figure out what their name is, right? They're all here on LinkedIn. And 40 million people are decision-making positions. So even if they're not the senior level, a lot of times we work with the marketing manager or the CMO. I guess the CMO would be senior level, but the marketing manager, they're not necessarily an exec. But the CEO doesn't care which agency they choose to work with, right? They're just like, okay, you can sign whatever contract you want. So 40 million people are the decision makers on LinkedIn. LinkedIn makes up over 50% of all social traffic to B2B websites and blogs. So if you are in a B2B business and you are not on LinkedIn, you are doing yourself absolutely no favors. 50%. 91% of marketing executives list LinkedIn as the top place to find quality content. So essentially, I told you I own a social media marketing agency. Here's what happens. When we are trying to find good content to put out for all sorts of clients, and we have everyone from individuals growing their own personal brand up to big national clients. We have them all across the board. Our content team goes out, because you have to put a ton of content out, right? If you own a social media agency, you have to put so much content out. And they go out and they look for content. There's different websites like Feedly and some that you guys have probably heard that also push out content. And you say, I want these keywords, and they push out content. Most of that content is found on LinkedIn. 90% of that content, 91% of that content is found on LinkedIn. This number was only like 80% a couple years ago. So more and more people are really relying on LinkedIn for actual good content. The stuff with Facebook and fake news has really changed the game for Facebook. I think, you guys remember when Facebook went down, maybe 8-10 weeks ago for a whole entire day? If you own a social media agency, you definitely remember it. I'll tell you guys that. Kind of theories in our world was that, and now we're seeing it come to fruition, that Facebook was changing servers and they were changing their entire business model, which we are now seeing is happening as they're really pushing Messenger. Anybody familiar with Wechat in China? Right, okay, more and more every day. Wechat is China's way of you staying on their app and not going anywhere else. Yeah, you're onto it, right? We're a little bit different because we're America and you're not going to tell us what to do, so some of us are going to push back, right? Facebook's done a good job of trying to become Wechat because they bought every app that has caught traction except for a couple of them. But you guys saw what happened when Snapchat wouldn't sell to them, right? They just made Instagram stories, and Instagram stories dominated that space, right? So essentially, Facebook went down, they came back up the next day, we didn't realize too many changes, and then over time they're slowly introducing changes. Well, if you are at all in the Facebook business page sector, you will have noticed that although we have seen over the past 2 years a decline in traffic, ever since Facebook went down that day, it's plummeted. And the only way to get any traffic is to put some money behind it, right? Because at the end of the day, they can't lose the money. So we are really not talking Facebook when we're talking B2B anymore at all. We are talking LinkedIn. LinkedIn's algorithms are like Facebook 2006, which there's some of you that might not have been around back then, but that was crazy good. Like if you were on there as a business, that was crazy good. That is what LinkedIn is right now. I put a picture of our office this week We have this awesome 53-foot Kansas City neon vinyl wall we did. And I just put on there, I said, excited to move into the new office. And before I knew it, it had over 20,000 reach within 2 days, which you can't get on Facebook without $1 at all. And it doesn't matter how many followers I have. The algorithms still only pay attention to what people are paying attention to, right? And then on top of that, I had 3 or 4 people reach out that said, I've been thinking about using your company. I see that you're growing. I would love to see the new office. Could I actually set up a sales appointment and come there? Well, absolutely. Yes, you can, right? Can I get the furniture put together? So I've got 3 appointments next week just from putting a picture on LinkedIn. Thank you. You can do it too. That's my whole point, is that people are discounting LinkedIn. And I will tell you right now, if you get on LinkedIn now, what's the trick of getting on social media, winning on social media? Be there first. So although there's 600 million people, that's not the 1 billion we just talked about on Instagram. That's not the however billion many on Facebook. You still get to be one of those first. And then 65% of B2B companies have acquired a customer through LinkedIn. We have acquired 90% of our over 70 clients, I'm looking back there, I don't even know the number right now, through LinkedIn. We were a 7-figure company in 2 years through LinkedIn. So if you're not on LinkedIn, I'm going to say it one more time. I sound like I am with my kids, right? I'm going to say it one more time. Get on LinkedIn. All right, now what do we do when we get on there? So the very first thing is we have to pay attention to analytics. So usually I don't go down an analytic road, but the nature of this conference, I thought we could talk about analytics. Is everybody on board with talking on analytics? Okay, cool. What? Let's get dirty. And I'm going to tell you, for a girl that knows social media, I didn't know how much I would love analytics. Like,
creepy and awesome.
Isn't it so creepy and awesome? I mean, I maybe should have saw it coming because I was a good stalker when I was dating, right? And it's essentially the same thing. So, whoever goes in, and we're going to talk, we're not going to get super into analytics, but whoever goes in and looks at the acquired, the overview of the acquired, right? Only 2 hands in here. 3 hands, 4 hands, 5 hands, 6 hands, 7 hands. Okay, good. No, I like it. So there's 2 sectors I really pay attention to. And I can do this within 3 minutes. If I'm about to meet with a client and I haven't done my research, and usually our account managers meet with them, but if they call me in last minute and they're like, hey, this client really wants to talk to you too, I can go do this in 3 minutes. So the first thing I go to is the top channels. Because at the end of the day, I don't care at all about this direct, right? Because those people, it gets a little weird here. Those people know about you. They put your name in directly and went to you. Maybe they did see you on social media. I can't prove that to you. You're not going to believe me anyways, even if I have, right? I could have a million different vanity URLs out there. You're still probably going to push back. Well, I met them at the Leawood Chamber. Okay, great. There you go. I don't care about that. Sometimes I care about the organic search. Sometimes. It depends if we have to do some basic SEO for clients. We do a lot of blogging for clients. So then if I'm going to go down the path of blogging, we'll talk about that. But I'm not really going to talk about that today. What I care about is the social number. So 16.8% of traffic came from social. I don't know if you guys know this, but that's a huge amount of traffic to come from social. On average, when a client comes on, we see, so when they first start and we look at their analytics, we see 1 to 2% of traffic comes from social. I actually pulled this from a client that's been with us for 6 months, and I will tell you they are a product, so that does play a little bit different, a product company, but 16.8% of traffic is coming from social. So yes, the direct is huge. The SEO we're not doing on this one, so there's not a ton of fight I can have right there, right? What I can affect is the social. 16.8%. If we get a client anywhere between 10 and 20%, we're killing it as a social media company. That means for every 10 people that come to your site, 2, we'll just go with 20% because again, I'm not good at math. 2 of those people ended up at your site from social media. Tell me again that social media doesn't matter. No. The next thing I look at is which social media is working, right? So I pulled this one from a B2B one because I wanted to show you guys. on the LinkedIn. I happen to know for a fact they are doing paid Facebook. So, because I went and looked at that after this, and I was like, this is not going with everything I said. They're doing paid Facebook, no paid LinkedIn. So out of the 210 people that came to their site this week, 120 came from LinkedIn, straight from LinkedIn. 91 came from Facebook, 2 came from Twitter, and 1 came from Instagram. Does anyone know why we do Twitter at all? Okay, we do Twitter. This is why my company does Twitter. We do Twitter because Twitter just became profitable recently, and I firmly believe that Facebook or Google will buy Twitter. You now see tweets coming up in SEO results as well as Facebook SEO results, right? If you have any demographic that's for men, and if it's in sports and you're not doing Twitter, you're screwing up. But again, that's why we're doing Twitter, is just for that SEO and because we want to be ahead of the game when it comes to whoever buys it. Because if Facebook buys it, it becomes part of their arsenal now, right? And then you better know that it's going to affect your Facebook and your Instagram results if you're not on there. Same thing with Google. So let's not talk about the bottom 2. Let's talk about LinkedIn. LinkedIn, 120 people. That's a lot of traffic to come to your website from LinkedIn, which we think nobody's paying attention to, right? So how do you get that kind of traffic to your website? So a lot of this is going to seem like common sense, because it is. But again, just take the tips that work for you. So content and links. So one of the things that I don't think everybody thinks about is they get content out there to get content out there, right? With no call to action. Now this is where I struggle with clients sometimes. I'm so glad none of my clients are in here. I have really awesome clients, but I'm just telling you overall over the years, right? A lot of times clients want social posts, and they say this, to be ads. Well, my ads this week. Well, I think probably everybody in this room understands social posts are not ads, right? But they say that, and they don't understand that, and they want to know why there's not a call to action on every single one. And if you put a call to action on every single one, you're going to be ridiculous. Everybody's going to quit unfollowing you, and you're going to get no traffic to your website because you've taken out the social part completely, right? You've made it more just advertising. So what we have to figure out is there's about a 70-30 rule we follow. 70% of social, engaging, talking, putting stuff people are interested in. Yesterday, when we moved, I saw my team. We moved our new office to, get ready to be jealous, next door to Harry's Country Club in the River Market, right? If you haven't been there, they have an amazing happy hour. And instead of saying, Lily and James moved, da-da-da-da, because we've been doing Instagram stories and people are bought in, they posted something about, we're so excited, and this was also on LinkedIn, they did an all across the board post. We're so excited to now be able to have happy hour at tag Harry's Country Club. Do you know how many people commented and said, oh my God, I love Harry's Country Club. Oh, I'm so excited, I know exactly where that is. Da-da-da-da. That was not a call to action. That was a social post. Yet now people know exactly where we are. We know who will want to come down and meet us for happy hour, and people are bought in, right? So understanding that not every single piece of content needs to be a call to action, but when we do the 30% of call to actions, we need to have a goal of what the call to action is, okay? So I just went through my personal feed, and I pulled some ones I thought were really good yesterday. In celebration of Pride Month, learn more about RBC Wealth Management, largest employee resource group, proud RBC Individuals for Diversity and Equality, also known as Pride. Here's the deal. This is a wealth management company, and I love nothing more than when wealth management companies are doing it right, because so many of them are doing it wrong. No offense, if you're in wealth management. But here's the deal. Why did this one catch my attention yesterday? All right, because it's a pride post. So although I have a husband, I'm not gay, I am a big supporter of the LGBTQ community. And the truth is, if we want to take our whatever out of it, our personal opinions, if you're not paying attention to that community as well, you're missing out on billions of dollars, right? However, we're in June. We're at the very tail end of June. So a lot of people did their pride stuff early June to check it off the box and go on to the next thing. This company I see yesterday, and I don't know enough about this. You can see it's not even a connection to mine. I just saw it on my newsfeed. It's the second degree one there. But this company is still doing it. So now that everybody did it all at the same time, you remember 2 weeks ago when all our news feeds were rainbows? Right. This company knows that it's still June, and they still are tapping into what we care about, right? But on top of that, they don't say, hey, come to our website and check it out. No, but very easily, I can click on this and read it. This is a link to their website. So this will take me straight to their website. I will start to read this. It looks like it's an article about how they were Pride supporters. I will probably go down a little bit of a rabbit trail because I know myself and I know how people react and the behavior they follow because I'm watching analytics. And so probably if they've done this right at the bottom of it, it'll say learn more about us. And there's gonna be a place to fill out a form and they may get more clients from this. They'll most definitely, if they're gonna get any clients, there's a lot of wealth companies that are not paying attention to the LGBTQ community. Here's a fun fact. I just went to the LGBTQ, they changed their name in Mid-America LGBT Chamber of Commerce luncheon a couple weeks ago. There was something like, it's under 50% of LGBTQ couples have children. So what happens when you don't have children? You have money. Right. You have money. And where do you put the money? You put it into businesses, right? This wealth management company understands that. So now, if I'm in the LGBTQ community, this resonates with me. I go to their website. Maybe I have some extra money I'm thinking about investing, and then I get a customer from it, right? Now, I don't know all the details of this company. I don't know why they decided to run this article. I don't know the traffic on it, the analytics, but what I know is from my agency owner view, this was a genius move right here. Because there is no call to action, but there is a call to action, right? Because it has the link on it. This is easy to do on LinkedIn. It's very easy to get that traffic that we just talked about from LinkedIn. But how do you do it on Instagram? So, we have 2 ways on Instagram. We can have over 10,000 followers, and you can swipe up, and it'll take you there, right? That's awesome and great, but most of us don't start with 10,000 followers, unless you're the 25-year-old in the bikini. You get to 10,000 quick. God, I'm glad I missed Instagram years in my bikini. Otherwise, I would have had a lot of followers, and then I would be 40 looking back going, dang, my kids can see that now, right? Here's the other option on Instagram. So probably most of you guys are very familiar that Instagram does not allow you to put in links, right? You can, I see companies all the time put in the links, but you literally would have to type it out because you can't even copy and paste it. You can't even, nobody's going to do that. I'm looking through Instagram on my phone. I'm not gonna memorize your thing, go to my Safari, type it out. It's not a thing, right? So you can either swipe up over 10 followers, or you can do it in the bio. You guys probably see this a lot of times where people say, link in bio. Here's what happens with your link in bio. You have to be very aware of your link in bio, right? So your call to action becomes even more pinpointed on Instagram. Instagram's posts have about a 3 to 4 day tops. It's gotta be really good to be 3 to 4 days shelf life. And what I mean by shelf life is I'm going through my feed and I'm still seeing it. It's usually 1 to 2 days, but 3 to 4 days, very, very tops. So if I put link in bio, I need to make sure I change that link in the bio. But then on top of that, 4 days later, I need to change that link back to my website, right? Because if now somebody that didn't see that post just wants to see what my website is, and it goes to what this looks like is probably a landing page or a vanity URL, then I'm gonna be kind of confusing to that customer and probably lose them right when they get there. Probably on my analytics, I'll see my bounce rate from Instagram skyrocket, right? Part of that also comes down to, I need to go to my post that I made 4 days ago, and I need to edit it, and I need to remove the part that says link in bio. Because now I've said link in bio, and it's no longer there if I've taken it off, right? So when you are trying to get traffic from Instagram, you have to be very self-aware on a timeline. I'm not an organized person. So for me, when I do this kind of thing, I have to set calendar reminders for myself to say, go back and change the link in bio and the post. Or you can get over 10,000 followers, or you can run paid, which allows you to give the swipe up option, right? The other thing you can do is you can also engage with people, like set up a relationship with somebody that has over 10,000, and we've done this a couple times, where I say, hey, I'll post some of your stuff, you post some of my stuff, do you mind throwing this link up? Because maybe we're working on this project together. It's like a speaking event we're both going to or something like that. So there's some thinking outside of the box on that. But if you want to just do it like because it's in your calendar and you're doing it, just make sure you set your calendar reminders for this not to be some link about something that happened in May and now we're in August, because it's just going to break all trust. And again, social media is getting to know you, trusting you, working with you. The next thing is hashtags. So everyone in the room knows what hashtags are at this point, right? I said the pound, somebody said something, it wasn't me, but somebody said the pound sign the other day, and my 12-year-old goes, what is that? And I showed him, and he's like, Mom, can you just call it a hashtag? Because I'm super not cool right now. I was like, sorry, a hashtag. Okay, just making sure we're all on the same page about hashtags. This just happened these past 2 years. Hashtags on LinkedIn and Instagram are very, very different. So I'm just going to go over quickly why we use them and how we use them on each platform. Okay, so on Instagram, let's start with Instagram, because I think most of us are using hashtags on Instagram. You are allowed up to 30 hashtags. Here it goes. Are you ready for it? Use all 30. God, that's annoying, right? Super annoying. Super annoying, the people that use all 30. Why do you think people use all 30? Because they can, but because they work. So has everyone noticed on Instagram that they're now suggesting hashtags you should follow? I am a co-parent, and I have a very good co-parenting relationship, like really good, like we vacation together. It's weird. We like it. It's more sets of hands for the kids. However, they suggested I follow co-parenting as a hashtag because they know everything about me. So I started following co-parenting. I had to unfollow co-parenting because usually when people use the hashtag co-parent, they're really mad at their other co-parent, just for the record. However, it's true, it was really making me angry. I was like, why can't they just get it together for the kids? However, when I started following co-parenting, then I started getting more suggestions for co-parenting. Would you like to follow the hashtag single mom? Would you like to follow the hashtag motherhood? Instagram is stepping up their game on hashtags. So the reason that we use the hashtags is because we need to be able to take full advantage of how Instagram's playing the game, right? At the end of the day, it's their platform. We have to play the game they're playing. Our algorithms have shown us that only a certain percentage of our followers are seeing things. And our followers are pretty much already doing business with us if they're going to do business with us. So how do we get new followers? How do we get new business? We have to use all of the hashtags. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, don't use a hashtag that has absolutely nothing to do with your business or your post, because you will break trust. The algorithms will see someone went to follow you and then quickly clicked off of you. That will hurt. But if you can figure out how to come up with 30 hashtags that have to do with your post and have to do with your business, that might drive business, I would suggest using all 30. It is not easy to use 30 hashtags. It is definitely not easy if you're planning a month out. It becomes annoying, it becomes monotonous, but again, it's called work. None of us are doing social media for business just because we love social media. It's called work. That's one of the biggest things I struggle with when clients say, but it's just not fun. Well, that's why we call it work. That's why you hire us. There are different tools online that can help you come up with hashtag strategies. You will see that most of them, like Hootsuite and some of those different, HubSpot and some of those, they will actually start to suggest if you use a planning tool. Again, just don't go with their suggestions, right? So say I have a business in Leawood, and they suggest that I tag Kansas City, Kansas. Well, we know in Kansas City, those are two very different demographics sometimes, right? So let's say I'm a dentist office. No one from Kansas City, Kansas. We know that dentist office, no one drives 5 miles without their, out of their thing for doctors and dentists, whether from their work or from their home. So Kansas City, Kansas, 25 miles. We don't need to put a Kansas City, Kansas hashtag, right? We probably don't need to put a Kansas City hashtag unless we're Leawood right there where it's like state line and then it's Kansas City and it gets confusing. But if you're like Overland Park, Leawood over here, you don't need to do it. So making sure that they're relevant hashtags that people will react to. Do not go super, super broad with your hashtag like Leawood Best Dental Office. Hashtag Leawood Best Dental Office. Because nobody in the world is following hashtag Leawood's Best Dental Office. Probably nobody but other dentists are following hashtag dentist. So that's not one you would necessarily use either, right? My favorite is when realtors, do we have realtors in the room? Do you use hashtags on Instagram? Do you hashtag realtor?
I do.
All right. No, there's a reason to do it. The reason that I would do it is if it's a home that I want other realtors to see to sell. If you are a seller's agent. If I was a buyer's agent, I wouldn't do it, right? Because I don't need other realtors in my business. Who's following realtor? Only other realtors, right? They want to see what's out there. But if you're selling the home and you need other realtors to bring people to you, then it makes sense. But understanding those difference of the goals, not just to do a hashtag for a hashtag. Okay, ready to talk about hashtags on LinkedIn because they're completely different. On LinkedIn, if you do 4 hashtags, you're almost doing too much. I do 2 to 3. That's kind of the sweet spot. Here's how LinkedIn's hashtags work. So it's a lot different. And it might change, so this is today. But the way, right, it really is. The way that LinkedIn's hashtags are currently working, because they just put in hashtags about 6 months ago, is that they are seeing who you're following or who you're connected with, and then you get to choose your top 3 hashtags. You'll see it to your left of your newsfeed. And then if all of your followers and all of your connections, if any of them use one of your top hashtags, they come to the top of your newsfeed. Okay? So again, they need to be very, very broad. I think the hashtags I follow are like hashtag social media, hashtag marketing, hashtag maybe Kansas City. That almost seems too pinpointed. But they need to be super, super broad because LinkedIn, people have already told LinkedIn which hashtags they want to see. You're connected with this person, so you want to see that person because they're using their hashtag. That's the top thing they're going to show you. Makes sense? Very, very different than Instagram. You will start to see people on LinkedIn doing 12, 15 hashtags. They're not winning the game. I have a LinkedIn group of people that all have, I probably have the least following in there at 16,000 followers. Most of them, their full-time job is LinkedIn. And all of us kind of powwow on algorithms all the time. And we have all tested it to the 9s. 4 is where we don't see our reaches all of a sudden drop. So I would say 4 at the very most. 2 to 3 is kind of the sweet spot that we're seeing right now. Very, very broad hashtags. I would also suggest for business that you follow hashtags that could bring you business. So I follow social media because I want to see if anybody asks for a social media company, right? Because then what can I do? I can sell them social media. Same with marketing. And that's probably why I follow Kansas City. I can't really remember. I go in and I change them quite a bit based off what I see people are reacting to. And then this is one of the biggest ones. You have to engage with your followers to get them to come to your website. Here is the deal. Has anybody in here ever met a friend at a restaurant or a bar? It's a weird question. Oh, only 3 of you guys. What are the rest of you guys do? Never, right? It seems like a silly question to ask at a social media thing. However, if you have friends on social media or followers or whatever you want to call them, connections or whatever, it is no different than going and, let's say, what's your name? Laura. Hi, Laura. I'm Erin. Nice to meet you. Say Laura and I met at Applebee's because I love Applebee's. They do. They have really good drinks, and they got a killer Fiesta Lime Chicken, if you're ever there. Free advice. Okay, so Laura and I meet at Applebee's, and we come in, and we give each other a hug, and we sit down, and I'm like, Laura, this is what happened to me. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da. And then we moved offices, and then I had 3 speaking events, and then I did this, and then I did this, and then I did this. Can I have my tab? And I leave. And Laura didn't get to say anything. It's kind of an asshole move on my part. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Sorry. It's kind of a jerk move on my part, right? I didn't let Laura talk to me at all. I didn't ask her about her. Maybe she told me I looked pretty, and I was like, I know. And then I just kept going on. Like, that's a jerk move. That's what most of us are doing on social media, by the way. We're just talking about ourselves. We're not talking about anybody else. People are giving us compliments all day long. And we're just like, I know, I'm not even going to bother to say thank you. That is what we're doing. That makes people not like us. I have 16,000 followers on LinkedIn, and I respond to every single message and every single comment on my posts. And not only do I do that, every morning, before I even get out of bed, it takes me 3 minutes, I go and I engage with 10 other posts that have nothing to do with my business. Because I'm trying not to be a jerk, which is honestly why I think I keep growing followers, which is why, as embarrassing as it is, 2 weeks ago, we got stopped while we were shopping, and someone wanted their picture with me, which is super weird and embarrassing to my 12-year-old, but it's because they thought they knew me. They sent me a referral the next day. We got a client out of it because we had a relationship, because it's the social part of social media. They had been to our website. We have a super, super fun website that matches our office, that matches everything else, matches our social media, right? But they were so bought in without even knowing me because we've had these conversations on social media. So engagement is, even if you're doing all the other stuff we talked about today bad, if you can do engagement right, you're going to get people to your website, you're going to get clients, you're going to get traffic, and you're going to grow. We don't have a choice of whether we do social media. The choice is how will we do it. And that's what I got for you guys. Do you guys have questions? Yes.
What would you say to maybe clients that are kind of like, oh, we shouldn't share culture things, we just only need to share tips and tricks or et cetera, we need to not do quote navel gazing?
I would tell them they were wrong. So here's the thing, clients hire you because you're the expert. And if you don't set that up very strongly at the beginning,
It's your boss. It's you.
that's different than a client. She said, what if it's your boss? Your boss hired you for a reason. I think it's a little bit of a trickier place to go, right? But I think I would come with solutions to your boss and maybe do some research of why. Usually bosses are a little bit more willing to try things with some facts. If you're working with a third party, like if you have a marketing agency you're working with, which a lot of marketing managers, sometimes they will step in to help move the ball. But I would say definitely come with some facts. There is a good group of people that are still not bought into social media. However, if you can find some facts, and just go to Google, they're all over Google, and say, let's just try it, and maybe put a deadline on it. Like, just give me 6 months to try this, and if 6 months it's not working, you'll never hear about it again, they're most likely going to. As long as you're not putting more work on their plate, then I would say that they probably are. And if your boss isn't gonna buy into it, you need to start looking for a new job. And I know that's harsh, but you need to work somewhere where they believe in you.
And in what works. So,
Yeah, right, but they hired you to tell them what works, right? Hope that helps. Don't go tell your boss I told you to quit. Yeah, Angela?
So I think it would be really good to kind of clarify some of the differences too in what you post on LinkedIn versus what you post on other platforms. I know that's been a struggle for me. Both of my businesses can be B2B or B2C, right? Business to business or business to consumer. But what you post on LinkedIn certainly has to look a bit different than
Sometimes.
what I would post on my Instagram or my Facebook, you know?
Sometimes. I don't think you put any kids' pictures or your family drama, right? One of my most viral things ever on LinkedIn, though, was about my struggle with depression and anxiety. But I tied it back to being an entrepreneur. And it turns out almost everyone I know that's an entrepreneur is dealing with the same stuff, right? I think authenticity sells on LinkedIn because no one else is doing it. And I think that if you just pay attention to what your audience is reacting to, you can start to navigate those. We cross over a lot of our content because it's so authentic and because it's so engagement, and then we let those stories take where they go, and then we start paying attention to analytics, and if something is hitting LinkedIn way harder than it's hitting Instagram, we'll continue to put that into our LinkedIn strategy and not our Instagram strategy, and vice versa. And I do a bunch of speaking on LinkedIn. You can check out I'm gonna tell you how to connect with me on LinkedIn. There's actually a video right there that'll go a little more into content.
That was exactly my question, is video.
Awesome.
So,
any comments about what types of videos are better than others?
Yeah.
Because we've got a couple of video programs that we purchased.
Yeah, video is king. My company is trying to get to 80% of video content by the end of the year. We actually have a whole nother space, which is just a whole studio in the West Bottoms. 80% of video content is a lot. It is. That's why I have a business, because it's a lot, right? But at the end of the day, we all have a video on our phone now. Remember they used to say we couldn't carry our calculators around? Now we're carrying it all around. And some video is better than no video. I do think that you've got to get past the thought process of perfection, and you'll be able to pump out quite a bit of video production. There's a million apps out there that could help you. If you're working for a very large company, people expect the same quality of video as the level of your company. So Nike couldn't do super iPhone videos. They can't. They're Nike. We're not going to pay them $150 for a pair of shoes if they do iPhone videos. But people know if you're a solopreneur, and they're more willing to. They see that as authentic. Okay, guys, if you have more questions, I'll stick around for a few minutes, but we're gonna connect real quick. So everybody grab their LinkedIn app. The LinkedIn app. If you don't have the LinkedIn app, you better get on there because you got a lot of engaging to do, huh? This is only gonna work if you have the app. Get on the LinkedIn app. Go down to the 2 people at the bottom. And then up at the top, it's gonna say Find Nearby. Click into that window. We're all gonna start to pop into this window. It only works while you're in the window. Go ahead and add me. If you have any questions, I can answer them there. And there is some video on there on the links about what LinkedIn content works. And I really appreciate you. Thank you guys so much.